The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Saint John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
When evening came, the disciples of Jesus went down to the sea, got into the boat, and started across the sea to Capernaum. It was now dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. The sea rose because a strong wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking in the sea and drawing near to the boat. They were frightened, but he said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." Then they were glad to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise the Lord Jesus Christ.
My dear sisters, this short passage from the Gospel is after the multiplication of the loaves. People wanted to make Jesus king, but Jesus escaped from them, and the disciples were alone in the sea without Jesus. We are told that a strong wind was blowing. The disciples were struggling hard. It only tells us that without Jesus, there will be a lot of problems in our life. Individually and in community, we will feel that our energy, however strong it may be, is not enough to withstand all the problems we are going to face. But then what happened? There is always the reassuring presence of the Lord in our personal life and in our community. The Lord repeatedly telling in the Gospel, in the Bible, "It is I, do not be afraid. It is I, do not be afraid." Then they were glad to take him into the boat. Let us take the Lord constantly in the boat of our heart. Let us take the Lord constantly in the boat of our communities. Immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. We can reach our destination. There will be peace. There will be calm. We will be energized enormously because of the presence of the Lord. Every day the Lord is telling us through His word, "It is I, do not be afraid. I am with you." Without Jesus, all our works will become futile, fruitless, useless. With Jesus, our personal life and our community life will be really marvelous. That's what this passage tells us. They were trying hard to fight against the strong wind, but still they were incapable. But then the reassuring presence of the Lord accomplishes that they reach the destination. In today's first reading, we have a beautiful passage how the apostles involve in dialogue to solve a problem. There is a problem. As you know, there were early Christians speaking different languages. Some spoke Greek, others spoke Aramaic or Hebrew. There was also some kind of partiality in how the widows were treated. The Greek-speaking widows were not treated equally as the Aramaic-speaking widows. So there was a complaint. The example of the apostles is a big lesson for us. The apostles said, "Okay, we know what we have to be busy about. Word of God and prayer. We can never neglect it. At the same time, we need some people to do this work honestly, honorably, justly." So they proposed to the people, "Come on, you choose some 7 men." The apostles themselves did not appoint. And they asked the people to do this work. And the conclusion is that the people themselves chose, and then they did the work, and they prayed and laid their hands upon them, and then see how the church grows. The word of God increased, and the number of disciples multiplied greatly in Jerusalem. dialogue, respect for the other members of the community, making others involved in the decision making, an attitude of charity, respect for the charisms of others, and finally, not undermining the most important things, that is prayer and the Word of God. What a wonderful example of charity and unity this early church experienced through this incident. May we also be inspired by this example as we are always strengthened by the constant presence of the Lord. Amen.